Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
And in the studio right now, we have a couple of guests. We have Andy Pearce from the St. Nicholas Church here in Rockingham.
Afternoon, Alan.
And we have Linda Lidlow, who is from Youthcare.
Hello, Alan. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, great to have you here. Now, first question, Linda, what is Youthcare?
All right. Youthcare is a chaplaincy organisation that helps all the state schools to find the perfect fit person to meet each school's unique needs. Now, 50 years ago, 13 different church denominations came together in unity and they established what is now the Church Commission of Education, and Youthcare was established.
Okay. So I have to say I've never heard of what was the education?
Churches Commission of Education.
Churches Commission of Education. That's a well-kept secret, or?
No.
There you go.
Our trading name is Youthcare.
Fair enough. So it's up to schools' discretion whether they have a chaplain or not?
Yeah, every school in West Australia can apply to the education for a chaplain. They can choose what service provider they would like to use. Currently, 95% of schools in West Australia are choosing Youthcare.
And what percentage of schools would actually have chaplains?
Any that they would like. I'm not sure exactly of the numbers, but most schools that want a chaplain, we can provide a chaplain for them.
Are there schools that don't choose to have a chaplain, or?
Generally speaking, no.
Right. When a school requests a chaplain, what's the selection process?
For Youthcare chaplains, they can apply online through our website, and then they're interviewed, which is quite a vigorous process. When they are successful, then they attend an interview with the principal of the school that they've chosen, and there are qualifications that need to be held, and it's quite a vigorous process to become a Youthcare chaplain.
Yeah, actually, my question was sort of not down that line exactly. Do you sort of fit chaplains with schools, depending on a particular need a school might have, or a particular demographic of that school?
Absolutely. That's the heartbeat of Youthcare, is to find the perfect chaplain for that school's needs. Whether it's the demographic, the culture, what that school needs, we find that person to match that.
Excellent. When a chaplain is appointed to a school, do they become a member of the school staff?
No, they're a welcome member of the school community, but they're actually employed by Youthcare, and so the school welcomes Youthcare chaplains into their school community.
And the chaplains are paid by Youthcare?
Yep. Employed and paid and cared for and trained, and we make sure they have all their clearances that are required and make sure they have supervision. We really look after our chaplains.
The reason I asked that question, I have a friend who was the chaplain to West Coast Eagles, and the Eagles weren't allowed to pay his wages. He had to get supporters to pay his wages. So that's a totally different situation with school chaplains.
Yeah, so we have an agreement with the Department of Education, and part of that is funding.
Right. And this applies to private schools and public schools?
Any school can have a chaplain,
right.
But currently Youthcare supply chaplains to state schools, so that's primary school, high school, special needs schools. We also provide chaplains to some of our principals that are in the remote area that may not have access to that type of support.
And where does Youthcare get its finance from?
We have multiple streams of finance. So we
right.
have what we call Youthcare councils in our local areas, and they are owned by the churches. The churches raise money, community services raise money. We also have funding from the state and federal government.
Right. Fair enough. Now, I wasn't going to ask this question, but there was talk recently about chaplaincy being sort of abandoned by the federal government. Is that?
I think the competition is healthy in any sector.
Right.
And I think as Youthcare, we've been there, done that. Youthcare is actually 50 years old, so there's nothing new under the sun for us. And we have multiple streams of income, so we don't rely solely, so that we can continue the service.
Right. And in the Rockingham area, would you have chaplains in most schools?
So my role as the area chaplain is to oversee the state schools from sort of Meadow Springs up to Rockingham.
Right.
There's 33 schools in our area. At the moment, there's 27 schools with a chaplain in it, and that's 22 chaplains. So we do have some vacancies.
Right.
Always open for more chaplains in our area.
So it's more a lack of chaplains than a lack of desire to have chaplains in the schools.
There's always more need than resource.
Right. Are chaplains allowed to present Christian ethos to the students?
No, Youthcare chaplains are not allowed to plebiscite at all. They're not allowed to teach or speak, but they can be the hands and feet of Jesus in their schools.
Right. It must be very difficult not to.
I think when you're showing the love of Christ through your actions, it speaks very loudly.
Right. Very good. Here we go. How do you measure the success or otherwise of the program?
So we could use stats. We could talk about how many schools are in the area or how many chaplains we have in schools, but primarily we really measure how successful chaplaincy is by the faces of the students we're connecting with. If we see an improvement in a student's behaviour, we would see that as a success. If we see a family that we've connected into community services, we'd see that as a success. So ultimately it's about the success stories of chaplains, and if you ever speak to a chaplain, they'll have hundreds of them. Right.
The social environment that we sort of find ourselves is ever changing. Does this mean you have to constantly revise your strategies with chaplains?
Absolutely. As we've seen the changes in our community, we've had to change. We're constantly evolving as well. My role as an area chaplain is to make sure that I find that perfect person to fit that school and make sure they've got the right training, the right skills. They might need extra resources or equipment, and we connect with the community to help engage extra support for them.
Right. And do you engage with the churches in the region?
We do, as much as we can, and that's where the Youthcare Council comes involved.
Right.
So we connect with other pastors and ministers in our area. They quite often, our volunteers, are people that come in and help with breakfast club, make a sandwich, do a gardening program.
Right, so your church is involved in Youthcare, Andy?
Yeah, we've been, I'm at Rockingham Anglican here in the city, just opposite the shopping centre, and we've been in partnership with Youthcare for a number of years now, but about last year, shortly after I came to Rockingham to lead the church and serve the church here, we took our partnership to the next level, as it were. We've been giving financially to the work of Youthcare because we think that chaplains should be in schools, and we're passionate about that, and so we've been giving financially. But last year we were invited to go and to start up an initiative with the boys of Hillman Primary School. The chaplain there, Karen, had already been doing a weekly knitting group with the girls, and so it's just wonderful to see her there. The kids love her. She's part of the school community. She's sometimes a mother figure where there is not that in the family, and kids love her. And so she'd been doing a girls program where some of the girls go and knit, I think, and they just knit and have a chat and hang out together. And so, but there was a need for something for little boys, particularly the boys who perhaps struggled in the classroom or struggled with behavioural issues. And so we were asked to do something, and we saw that they had a garden there at allotment, and so we thought, hey, why don't we do a gardening club for the boys? And so we've been doing that for 3 terms now, and it's just been brilliant. Have small cohorts of 4 or 5 boys every month or so, and we get to know the kids, they get to know us, we have a laugh, the garden is growing, and it's just been great experience of getting alongside kids with a long-term view of putting some good role models in kids' lives and just building relationships, authentic relationships.
Oh, excellent. And you've got sort of strong backing from the school?
Yeah, I mean, we went in end of last year, term 4 last year, term 1 this year got decimated by COVID, but went in not really knowing what to expect. But we have a good relationship with the staff there. We genuinely go in and want to just serve the school. And I mean, a couple of the guys that come in with me, there's a guy called Murray and Dennis that come in. They genuinely just want the best for the school and love the school, want to contribute where we can. So we've got to know a number of the teachers and the principal there, who's doing a brilliant job of leading the school.
Interesting that both of these activities, the knitting and the gardening, are not activities you would associate with kids wanting to participate in.
Can I jump in here?
Sure.
Talk about success. There's actually been a significant increase in those boys' attendance on the day that the gardening program's being run, because they love the program so much, and they purposely put it on in the afternoon so that the kids stay all day. And so that's part of that process of going, this is working, this is helping, it's increasing their attendance and building relationships.
Yeah, that's been our experience. So I was walking out to go to the bathroom, and I saw one of the little boys that normally is in our group with his head in his hands in tears. And I said, "What's wrong with you?" And he goes, "I've been told I'm not allowed to come." We call it Sprouts. It's our little gardening club, Sprouts. And he said, "I've been told I'm not allowed to come to Sprouts because I've been naughty." I said, "What have you done?" And he goes, "I threw a whiteboard at the teacher." Okay, well, let's just chat about that. And anyway, he was devastated because he wasn't allowed to come. And you think, I mean, I don't really like gardening, but I do love doing it with these lads, and that they seem to love doing it. One little boy, his mother was going to withdraw him from the school, but kept him in the school because he loved Sprouts so much. So you just go, well, yeah, that's great. If that's what's happening and it's giving these boys some purpose and some friendships and some role models, then that's great.
Excellent. And these are the stories you just do not hear. This is the good news, but no one gets to hear it. So really pleased that you guys can come in today and share this with us. Now, what would you say to a person who is thinking about becoming a chaplain, is a bit reticent, a bit nervous?
First of all, I definitely encourage them to pray on it, because chaplaincy is definitely a calling, it's not a job. And then to just apply, because the process itself will work out whether you're called into that space or not. If you're thinking about becoming a chaplain, I would definitely encourage you to apply. You can go onto the Youthcare website and have a look around what we're about, what we stand for. And you can go on our Facebook page and see the events that we run in the community, how we connect. But if you're passionate about the next generation in any age range, I would definitely encourage you to think about applying. You can also volunteer if you want to shadow a chaplain and get a real view of what that looks like, a snapshot, a chaplain in a day type thing.
And also, if you're not actually called to be a chaplain and you want to support Youthcare, you can actually give money to Youthcare. Our op shop, St Nick's op shop, gives a significant amount of its income to Youthcare. So you could just go and buy some clothes in the op shop if you wanted to support it and you weren't called to it. So there are multiple ways. So your finances and people are really the way to get behind that and to pray for that work as well.
And that money translates into extra days into our school.
Brings me to another question. How many days a week are chaplains involved in a school?
Anywhere from, we have a chaplain who works 1 day a fortnight in a school, right up to, we have a local high school here in Rockingham that has 2 chaplains working, a male and a female, which balances it out really nicely. One works 5 days, one works 2 days. But most chaplains work 2 days a week.
Right.
In a school, so they might work in 2 schools or across 3 schools.
And how do the schools sort of introduce a chaplain? How do kids get to know what the chaplain's there for, and how do the schools promote it?
So a lot of chaplains are really high energy people, so they'll go into the classrooms and introduce themselves, talk about it, meet the parents at the gate before and after school, chat to a whole assembly, run competitions, engage in mental health activities, anything that can promote well-being within the school.
Right. Anything you want to tell us to give a plug to?
Just Youthcare is an amazing organisation to work with and for. Yep. If you are interested in chaplaincy, you can go on the website or just give their head office a call, and they will answer any of your questions.
Mm. Now, Nick, I believe that you have brought a food for thought with us today.
I have. I thought we'd look at John 10, famous saying when Jesus says, "I am the good shepherd." And I thought I'd ask listeners, what comes to mind when you hear the words, "I am the good shepherd"? I think when most of us hear those words, we picture Jesus as the shepherd with the blonde hair and the golden beard, the pale complexion and the manicured hands. I think my grandmother had a painting of that with Jesus stroking this beautiful white pristine lamb. When I hear the words, "I'm the good shepherd," I think of the Vicar of Dibley soundtrack, the Lord is my shepherd, sung by a choir boy. But the problem with that picture of Jesus as the good picture of Jesus as a shepherd is that Jesus ain't shepherding anyone. Yeah. If you've tried herding sheep, you'll know that sheep don't comply. They're stubborn, they're fast, they're escape artists. And when the Bible calls us sheep, he calls humankind sheep. He wasn't paying us a compliment. Now, the thing we need to know is that when Jesus says the words, "I'm the good shepherd," we're meant to picture not the manicured Gucci blonde Jesus. We're meant to think something more like Russell Crowe as Gladiator, standing there in the arena, covered in dust and mud and blood, ready to do battle. Because when Jesus says he's the good shepherd, he's saying he's a warrior who is tough and strong and courageous, who will fight for you, who will protect you, who put your life on the line. I don't want to follow a Gucci manicured Jesus. He's not going to do anything. I want to follow a tough Jesus who will fight for me. King David, you'll know, is the most famous shepherd in the Bible, and he was the kind of shepherd who wrestled lions to the ground with his hands. Lion famously took one of David's sheep, and David chased after the lion. He grabbed the sheep out of the lion's mouth. Then the lion comes back for him, ready to eat him, and he grabs the lion with his hands by the mane and wrestles it to the ground and kills him with his bare hands. So when Jesus says, "I'm the good shepherd," we're meant to think that. Yeah. We're meant to think this tough, strong warrior who will fight for us. The problem with the manicured Jesus, the blonde Jesus, is that he doesn't shepherd us, we shepherd him. And we like to shepherd Jesus. We like to pull him out when the times are bad. We like him to cheer us on. We like him to cheer us up, to solve all our problems and make us feel better about ourselves. And when he doesn't, we give up on that Jesus. Give up on our Jesus. But Jesus, the good shepherd, didn't come to be shepherded. He comes to be our shepherd. And to follow the good shepherd is to follow that tough kind of Jesus who will wrestle more than lions to the ground. See, the good shepherd is the shepherd who goes to the cross to wrestle death to the ground, to smash sin, to crush death, to sweat blood for you and me, Alan, to put his body on the line for you. And the amazing thing is, you read in the Bible that Jesus is the shepherd, the good shepherd knows you. He knows you better than anyone else knows you. He's with you when you trust him. He protects you as you follow him. And he opens a door to his kingdom. Like Christians bang on about heaven, and when you think of heaven, you think of the little babies with the little guitars and the white fluffy clouds. But heaven is the kingdom of God, and it's not a place of fluffy clouds and that kind of thing. It's a perfect world where all the hurt and the brokenness that we see and that we feel around us will be no more, fixed forever. All the pain that we feel in our hearts, the brokenness that we see in some of the schools that we're in with chaplaincy on the streets of Rockingham, will be no more. That's what the Good Shepherd does. Fix it forever and invites us to follow him into that creation. So the question really is will we follow him? If he's not our shepherd at the minute, will we consider him? I've been following Jesus since I was 18 years old. Never looked back. And I would encourage you to look at him. Most people think that they understand who Jesus is, but you read the pages of the Bible and man, it's exciting.
Yep.
Jesus is the most compelling character I've ever met. He has brought hope to my life, joy to my life. So I encourage, if you don't know him, to look into him. And if you do follow Jesus as your shepherd, keep following him, because he won't give up on you.
Absolutely.
He won't let you down.
Yep.
That's my food for thought.
Absolutely great. I've often referred to the manicured blonde Jesus as Californian Jesus.
The suntan version.
Because when you look at the type of appearance he would have been sort of Middle Eastern. He wouldn't have been anything like you and me, except he might have had a beard like you. But
absolutely. I once met a woman who became a Christian after watching Jesus Nazareth and Robert Powell playing Jesus, and she said it was his eyes. It's blue eyes that compelled me. There was no one with blue eyes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, really appreciate that food for thought. Yep,
pleasure.
It's encouraging and uplifting, and certainly enjoyed hearing about Youthcare, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening that are totally unaware of what you guys are doing, but you're doing such a great job, and we thoroughly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back to the music now, and we're going to hear from Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass with Let It Be Me.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.